Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to continue working on Kotlin project, and in this video, we are going to learn about enum classes. So let's get started. When you need a predefined list of constants, you can use enums. Let's say, for example, we want to represent a type of an order, all right? Sometimes the order can be shipped or we are tracking it, or let's say it's complete. You can use ints to represent these different stages, but it is better to use enum. The way you create enum is simply you type enum class like that, and you just have to name it, let's say order status, right? And create your brackets, and let's start filling it. You can create directly the information in capital letters. For example, let's say tracking like that. This is tracking, and you put comma and you add, for example, shipped, and finally, let's say completed. All right. So this is how you can define a thing. Let's say that we want to use this order status. Let's say we have another class. Let's call it just a simple class order, in which, for example, we have an ID of string. Okay, let's just use value, and it has also an order status. Okay, and the order status will be that order status. If you want to create an order right now, let's say create an order, it will be order like that, ID of 1, for example. And the way you use your order status is like following. You type order status like that, and you type dot, and you say which is completed, shipped, or tracked. So this is simply how you can create enum classes. Now you can add some information to this enums. For example, you can add here something like, I don't know, just called value. You can give it whatever you want. Let's give it string. All right. Now, if you add it here, you will have some errors here. You have to initialize the value for each of these enum types or enum constant. You can do something like that to create brackets and strings, and you can do 1, for example, 2 or 3. Let's say you need these values for some reason, for some business reason or any other reason. All right, so this is how you can initialize things here. You can access this value directly from here, dot value. Okay, so this is one way of accessing the value. You can access it like that. You can access all the values inside that enum using values. Okay, this will return an array. You can loop on it. Let's just loop on it with for each. I will print the status like that. Let me just delete that and run it right now. As you can see, here is the things. So the order in which they show is as we define them. All right. If we swap something like that, rerun it again, shipped will be the first one. Now you can get the value or the order in which it is defined. For example, you can use it dot ordinal. I think, yeah, ordinal. Now, if you type everyone, it will go like the following 1, 2, 3. I think, yeah, 0, 1, 2. I'm sorry, because it is indexed. Now, if you see tracking, for example, let's see tracking like that. Let's just import it from here, and let me delete that. And you see the ordinal of it. It will be 1 because it is the second. Okay, so this is how you can get some information about them. You can use the ordinal or you can use the name. The name will give you that name, tracking or shipping or anything else. Okay, let me see. Exactly. Now, let's say you want to compare this enums class. Let's say if you want to see if this is bigger than order status dot shipped. This comparison is fair. It will run and it will produce false, I think, or true. Why? Because tracking is bigger than shipped. Okay. The enum class by default implement the comparable interface. Okay. And the order is shown based on this definition order. Okay. So if you reverse like that, it will be true. Right? It will be false. I'm sorry. This will be always false. Okay. As you can see, this is always false, but sometimes you need that sort of comparison. All right. Now, something else I want to show you here is that you can define abstract function here. Let's say for each order, I want to define an abstract function. Just call it abstract. Here you have to type semicolon like that. Okay. And let's call it abstract function. Do something. I don't know. It's just function. Okay, you can give it parameters and return types, and you have to implement this function for all of these. So for all of this status, you want to have some particular behavior. Okay, you can do it like the following. This is called an anonymous class. Okay, so the way you do it, you do override function, do something like that, and here you give it, I don't know, some kind of process. Now, let's say this function are overridden like that and implemented like that. You can use that previous order we created. Now, with that order in mind, you can use the order status do this thing. Okay, so here you are doing some kind of polymorphism depending on the order status. Okay, so the behavior will change depending on order status. All right, this is one way. This is called anonymous class here. Okay, now you can do something else. You can implement interface. Okay, let's say you have contract interface. I don't know, it's just something, let's call it interface, something, some behavior. Okay, and the function will be basically here. You can delete it from here. Okay, do it here. And now you let this interface, you let this enum class implement some things. Okay, now you have to override, now you have to implement this, do something here. Okay, so this is basically the same thing. So this is how you can implement interfaces with enum class. So you can make this enum generic and polymorphic to calls. All right. So this is how you can use enum class. You see how you can define them. You can add some constant here, some values for them. So each one will use a different value. You can use them directly in your classes like that. So they represent something related to the business or to the domain like that. And you can use interface. You can use them with interfaces to implement some particular interfaces. So you can use polymorphic calls like that. And yeah, you can use also some functions inside them. And we see how we can see the order of them and how to print its values. Okay, so this is it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you in the next videos. Salam alaikum.